Jason Schoeppner was caught in the To Catch a Predator sting of Greenville, Ohio. He was 21 years old at the time, and using the screen name J10-72960, believed that he was talking to a 13-year-old girl. Over the course of this video, I'll go over his chat log with the perverted justice decoy, and his interaction with Chris Hansen at the Sting House. As you've heard me say before, I'll be unable to go through the chat log with a fine-tooth comb due to community guidelines, but I will touch on what was said there as quickly and family-friendly as possible. If you're interested in the complete uncensored video, including the chat log segment intact, you can find that over on my Patreon. With that out of the way, let's dive in. Jason swiftly learns that the person he speaks with is 13 years old, then promptly turns her attention toward a photo of himself, where he's wearing a firefighter's outfit. After a rather small amount of back and forth, we learn that the predator is feeling the effects of horniness, thus explaining why he's been asking probing questions about how hot she thinks he is. The man learns that the decoy will be left home alone all weekend coming up, which triggers some fear in him. He queries whether she is law enforcement, and the solution to resolve his anxiety sees him request a sexy voice message to be left for him on the phone. This confuses the decoy, as she is unaware of the requirements that constitute a sexy message. It's simple, really. He would like her to tell him that firemen are sexy. The decoy does this, and the chat can now proceed. He continues to probe her about previous relationships she's had with guys older than her, and he procures information regarding the type of guys she likes. Guys with tattoos. And what luck, seeing as our predator is the proud owner of such body art. This leads the man into his first expedition of sexual dialogue. Okay, what else is sexy to you? Tats. I have 2 inside my arm. Will you kiss them for me? Yeah. What about on the lips? Yeah. I love to kiss. Me too. Really? What else? I don't know. Whatever you wanted to do. Well, what have you done? Everything. Well, not everything, but a lot of stuff. Well, what did you like? From behind. That's the only way I had it though. Like being eaten? You paint your toes? Hello? Never been eaten. I'll do that. Want me to rub your feet? Yeah. When? Now I'm getting turned on. Okay. After learning that our predator has an interest in the human foot, the two begin to discuss logistics of how they could meet up. It's quickly locked in that he'll be making a visit to her place in around an hour and 40 minutes. With the excitement of molestation upon him, it would seem that the man has an affinity toward moaning, and I'm not talking about hearing others moan, but himself. Okay, don't you want to hear me moan? I will hear ya when you get here. Laugh out loud. Get ready and come here. Okay, call me when you're off, and we'll talk on the way. Tell me when you're leaving, then I will call. I want you to call now, and make me moan. Laugh out loud. No, I'll make you moan when you get here. Okay. With business all sorted, that wraps it up for this incredibly short chat log. The man has a plan to meet up with the target before heading into work, and it's at this point that I'll leave you with the Dave from the past, who's providing us all with some insightful thoughts regarding the predator and his moaning habits. Very shortly, I do imagine he will be moaning, but unfortunately for him, it'll be moans of discomfort when he learns that Hansen will be his pre-work date. There is also a phone call, but really all that is discussed is how far away he is and what her house looks like. Amongst all of this though, he does want to know if her toes have been painted for him.
So you paint her toes for me?
Yes, I painted them red.
You did?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Let's head over to the Sting House and check out what happens.
Hey, come on in. I just cut my toe when I ran out there because there's rock on the ground. I'm going to go put a Band-Aid on it, okay?
Where are you at?
I got to go get a Band-Aid before I bleed all over the rock.
Oh, okay.
Hey, why don't you hang out, have a seat right in there so the bar for me, will you? Keep your hands on your pockets. Come on, just go over and have a seat, please. No, sir. Right here, please. What's going on?
I'm going to take it back to the start so we can have a look at that quick entrance.
Hey, come on in. I just cut my toe when I ran out there because there's rock on the ground. I'm just going to put a band-aid on it, okay?
I'm surprised he didn't turn around and walk out right then and there. Hey, those precious toes have been ruined.
Where are you at?
I gotta go get a band-aid before I bleed all over the rock.
Oh, okay.
Just
Hey,
out
why
the
don't you
door.
hang out, have a seat right on the other side of the bar for me, will you? Keep your hands on your pockets.
It's moments like these when Chris Hansen's 6'1" height really stands out. He looks like an imposing figure commanding attention in front of Jason, and it really gives me vibes of an angry father looming over their naughty little child.
Come on, just go over and have a seat, please. No, sir. Right here, please.
I think it's at this point that Jason was actually fixing to leave. He rolled his sleeves up as a way to self-soothe, and then directly moved in the direction away from where Chris pointed out. It's a small moment of minor rebellion, but I believe it goes to show how docile Jason is. He wants to get right out of there, and begins to do so, but when met with the slightest resistance from Chris, he buckles and does as he's told.
What's going on? Why don't you tell me to get things started? Tell me what was happening.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I do. I'm sorry.
You're sorry for what?
You freaking idiot.
As of right now, even though he does go on to put up a little defense, ultimately what we're looking at is a man who has been defeated before the battle had a chance to even begin. Later on, Jason claims to have seen the Dateline program before, but I really don't think he has. I'll get into that a bit later on though when the cameras come out. For now, this seems like a genuine response the man has to being caught red-handed in this way. Some fight and others flee, but Jason here freezes whilst adopting a vulnerable and pathetic demeanour. His natural response to trouble, it appears, is to recluse inwards and become submissive and self-critical.
An idiot. What was your plan here today?
I was just gonna come hang out.
Hang out with who?
That girl I was talking to.
The girl. What's the girl's name?
Cat.
Cat. And how old is Cat?
She said she was 13.
13. And how old are you?
21.
21. That's a big age
I know.
between 21 and 13.
I believe I have explored the topic before in previous videos of younger predators like our 21-year-old Jason here, but to go over it again briefly, it might be easy for some to give him a free pass because he himself is quite young. One might say, well hey, 21-year-olds can make pretty poor choices. They're figuring life out themselves. Possibly he hasn't had too many romantic partners, has issues with self-image, confidence, and may even feel like he's able to connect with younger teens rather than women his age or older. Therefore, his position in all of this is slightly more understandable. At the end of the day, this argument, for me, falls flat, because at 21, at least when I was 21, I remember that the thought of being with anyone aged 17 or younger was pretty eyebrow-raising stuff. And keep in mind, I was a pretty imbecilic 21-year-old. It's difficult for me to see beyond my own experience when it comes to this. And it makes me wonder, any 21-year-old who has the capability of finding themselves in Jason's position could very possibly be a preferential offender, one who is attracted to younger people. This may very well be his first predatory rodeo, but should he have gotten out of this situation what he wanted, that could have been the start of a very long and disturbing life journey for this young man.
13 is like 7th grade.
I know.
So why did you think it was
I don't know.
Have you done this before?
No. I swear to God I haven't.
And I am to believe you why.
I don't know.
What do you do for a living?
Paramedic?
A paramedic.
Yeah.
Although the paramedic is still an impressive career path, it's not quite as flashy and attractive to a young teen as a firefighter may be, hey. Our friend Jason here has proven that he is not adverse towards lying for his own benefit.
And where are you a paramedic?
I just resigned from my job in
You resigned?
Mechanicsburg.
Why?
Just a lot of problems with the department.
Like what kind of problems?
Like within the department and stuff.
For instance, give me an example.
It's just, they're not joint, you know how it's fire and EMS, it's separate. It's just a lot of drama.
Time to put on my speculation hat. Jason has just claimed that he's resigned from being a paramedic due to workplace drama. This leads me to 3 conclusions. Either, what he's saying is accurate, the people he works with are a little unpleasant, management is a mess, and the result is an unhealthy work environment that he wanted to get out of. Or, potentially, he could be the subject of workplace bullying. I don't know enough about him or his personality, but based on his position coming to this house, I doubt he's the life of a party, charismatic and popular. There's a chance that he may find himself the butt of many workplace jokes and has left for that reason, something that he may not fully want to admit to Chris. Or 3, he creates the drama, an individual that for a number of reasons can cause tension and friction in a workplace, inappropriate comments, entitled attitude, or an abrasive nature to name a few. If he's oblivious to the shortcomings of his own personality, like so many are, he concludes that there's too much drama in his workplace, and he doesn't understand why. Furthermore, is now unable to adequately explain to Hansen what the cause of these dramas are. It's hard to get a read on the man from his chat log, because it was so very short, and due to his defeated demeanor once confronting Chris, again, it's difficult to get a read on how he might approach the world under normal circumstances.
And where is this again? What city?
Mechanicsburg, Ohio.
Mechanicsburg, Ohio.
Yeah.
And you were a paramedic there until when?
April 1st is my last day.
April 1st. So you're still on the job, technically.
Yeah, I guess.
Now, in your chat here, you essentially say you're a firefighter.
Yeah.
Don't you think that might impress a 13-year-old girl?
Well, look, I'm sorry.
What was your plan here today?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I seriously don't know.
Well, it looks like you knew based upon this chat. Want me to rub your feet?
No, okay, alright.
It's hard to tell if Jason knows that at this point Hansen has begun reading his words from the chat log, as it comes across as though Hansen has randomly propositioned Jason for a foot rub.
Want me to rub your feet?
No, okay, alright.
Well, now I'm getting turned on, you say.
Thoroughly holding the power of this dynamic, Chris appears comfortable to let the predator sit in deafening silence whilst he slowly reads through to find a few more points he can bring up. And like an obedient child in trouble, Jason sits and waits for what is next to come.
How do I know you're not a cop? I'm not a cop. How do I prove it? Call my cell and leave a sexy message. What do you want me to say? Something to turn me on. How about firemen are sexy? Laugh out loud, okay. You talk about another person she dated who was apparently 20. And you ask, what did your dad say about you dating a 20-year-old?
It's at this point that Jason's soul has thoroughly left his body. It has abandoned him to the pressure of the moment, saying thanks for the ride, Jason. It's been an interesting 21 years, but you're on your own for this one, buddy.
I mean, what am I supposed to make of that?
Look,
I'm waiting.
I don't know what to tell you. I can sit here and tell you anything you want, and I know you don't have any reason to believe me.
Hansen really wants the man to start running his mouth, as he knows it's good for television. But Jason is not doing that. When faced with a quiet predator, Chris has a range of tools in his belt for such an occasion. In this case, he uses the predatory conversation starter of what would have happened had I not been here.
What would have happened if I had not been here?
I would have done something stupid.
With a 13-year-old girl?
I don't know, probably.
If a 13-year-old girl had been here?
Yeah.
A candid moment of honesty. You've got to give it to the man. Owning up to one's own mistakes is a very difficult thing to do, and he's done it. I don't believe it's an attempt to get out of trouble either, seeing as he hasn't really defended his stance here in any meaningful way. So because of that, congratulations, Jason. You've climbed up a tiny rung on the moldy, predatory ladder of decency.
And why am I to believe that this is the first time you've ever done this?
Yeah, it is. I swear to God.
So you just woke up one morning and said, I'm going to go
No, I don't know. I was just online goofing around.
goofing around.
I was just talking to people.
Well, why would you even mess around into somebody who said they were 13? Why even go there?
I originally said we were 13, and then she started off with, well, okay, you're dating someone who's 20. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of odd, but...
Here we have the only real attempt at a defense against Chris's onslaught, and quite the feeble attempt it is. It's composed using a combination of, I wasn't looking for this sort of thing, and she came on to me. The defense here itself is not something I'm finding too interesting. It makes sense for one to try and hold their ground, especially seeing as Chris has opened up the space for that and demanded that Jason explain himself. What interests me here is a specific portion of that defense, a part which could either be truthful words or an attempt to deflect heat. Notice right at the end there, he uses a vague description of a general moment from the beginning of the chat log.
I originally said we were 13, and then she started off with, well, okay, you're dating someone who's 20. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of odd, but...
He claims that this whole scenario actually begun with the decoy informing him she was 13. Then she decided to tell him about her 20-year-old ex. The way he delivers this is quite sneaky. He rolls those two moments together, her age and who she's dated before, and acts as though they're directly connected, when in fact they're not. The decoy only mentioned her 20-year-old ex, because he said, "It's too bad you're only 13. He's taking a moment, splitting it up into pieces, then stitching those pieces together using vague terminology to paint himself in the best light. As mentioned before, he's either fully aware that he's doing this, or it's a subconscious reaction that he's using to try smooth things over. Or he, in fact, has fully forgotten how the chat log unfolded, and genuinely believes wholeheartedly that she started this whole thing. In doing this, at the very least, by one's own harshest critic, which is themselves, he can free himself from as much guilt as possible.
Well, take what's on your brain. Tell me what you were thinking about.
You screwed up. I don't know what I'm thinking about.
It's a damn tragedy that these men generally all answer this question in the same way. I don't know what I was thinking about. It forces me to speculate on what might have been, and when I'm left with that freedom, I usually land on the same answer. He's a horny, lonely buffoon who has replaced his common sense and decency with idiotic lust. But who knows what the real answer may be? There could be a million things. He could really open up about the black vacuum of depression and get into the sinking pits of his loneliness and how that feels. Or maybe this girl reminded him of someone he once dated many years ago when he was her age, and it triggered something within him that surprised even himself. Quite possibly he could harbour a second personality who cohabitates in his brain, and when that guy takes over, who knows what's going to happen. Of course, I'm merely entertaining myself with these thoughts, seeing as Jason really doesn't give me much to work with. But nonetheless, it would be a nice change of pace for once if a predator gave us an honest glimpse into the detailed answer to such a question. And quoting another predator here, one might go as far to say that hearing what a man has to say for themselves, it would be the cleanest, best pleasure.
Well, you say that, but when you read the chat log, it certainly sounds like you knew what you were talking about. What should happen to you?
I don't know.
You don't know. Do you know that it's illegal
I know my career is probably over.
to do this? This is against the law to use the internet to solicit a 13-year-old girl?
I know.
What if this was your younger sister and somebody walked into...
I'd be pretty upset.
Jason will go on to say that he has an 18-year-old sister. What I find interesting about this moment is the way he reflects on Hansen asking about his sibling. Take a moment to watch his eyes. After being asked the question, It appears that he really does go inward to think about that scenario. He considers it so much that he feels compelled to answer, even though Chris hasn't completed what he's saying. An interruption. Behavior which so far hasn't been a staple of Jason's defense. I think this man truly took a moment to consider how he would feel about his younger sister being taken advantage of. And it's an unpleasant thought. This moment here, it endears me ever so slightly toward the way he may reflect on information. But I do say that with the loosest meaning of the word endear. To explain, Jason absorbed information, considered what it meant, and responded. It sounds like a simple thing, but it's really not. The art of listening and considering information properly is not too common a trait that I see, oftentimes a trait that is absent from my very own approach to communications. So seeing this, as I said, it endears me toward his ability to do it, and it leads me to believe that quite possibly this man could be a thoughtful character, at least when not under the influence of predatory hypnosis.
The home where she was living, when she was alone.
I know. I'm real protective of her too. She doesn't. I know you probably think I'm stupid, just judging by this, but.
So you have a younger sister?
She's 18. Yeah.
18. And she's 18 and you're protective of her. And here you are.
I don't know.
I don't think this is an act. I think the man is experiencing proper discomfort and pain upon realizing exactly what has occurred here. One could argue that he's adopting the feel sorry for me because I'm pathetic approach, and I wouldn't try to argue against that, because really, all I have to go off is my gut feeling here, and it's telling me that the man is feeling a deep sense of pain due to the realization of exactly what sort of monster he has woken up and found himself to be.
Well, there's a couple things you need to know.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch television?
Yeah.
Do you ever watch Dateline?
Dateline?
Dateline NBC? Have you ever seen our stories on computer predators?
Yeah, I've seen it.
This is one of them.
Oh, no.
Although he claims to have seen the Dateline program before, his response to the cameras coming out makes me believe that he in fact hasn't, that he was unaware of exactly what he walked into. If he had seen the program and was familiar with it, I doubt the cameras coming out would elicit this sort of response from him.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline. If there's anything else you want to tell me, I'd like to hear it.
No, that's okay.
If not, you're obviously free to leave. But before you go, I want to ask you one more question. So you've seen these stories before.
Yeah.
Didn't you for one minute think that this might have been something just like that?
Yeah.
But you came anyway.
Please.
For one of the only times that I can recall, you have Hansen, who has dropped his professional journalist persona. The composure that he harbors for a split second vanished as a question rose up. A fragile bottle holding a message, which drifted through the currents of his mind. It avoided all of the rocky reefs that threatened to shatter it along the path of its journey, spikes of attention, focus, and pre-planned points of discussion, which all had no intention of letting it through. Despite all odds, it makes its way to shore.
But before you go, I want to ask you one more question. So you've seen these stories before.
The man himself seems surprised by the message it delivered. In a moment where all that is left is to watch the predator do the walk of shame, Chris jumps at the opportunity to ask a genuine question of his own, and he seems excited to do so. And I do understand why he may be excited. How often does Chris find himself in this situation? Not only is this predator completely defeated, likely an opponent who will follow all commands sent his way, but this predator has also seen the Dateline program before. And now Chris, or more importantly his ego, it wants answers.
So you've seen these stories before.
Yeah.
Didn't you for one minute think that this might have been something just like that?
Yeah.
How could one learn of who the old predator slayer is, and still be brazen enough to walk through the doors looking for this sort of trouble? I imagine this is a question that burns at Hansen quite a lot, and here he has the opportunity to ask it, potentially getting a genuine answer. Unfortunately for Hansen, Jason is more than defeated. He has been ground to a pulp and not able to take any more.
But you came anyway.
Please, please.
Likely emotionally overwhelmed to the point where he is no longer able to respond. This question that has been asked, it could have been anything, but to him, it's just another blow. A blow that will go unanswered as he pled for mercy.
Help me to understand that.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm truly curious. I mean, do you think you had an internet addiction or compulsion?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, if there's nothing else you'd like to say, again, you're free to go on. You can use the door right behind you.
Thank you very much, Chris, Captain of the Obvious.
So you can go ahead now.
No, please, let me say it.
Sir, I'm going to have to ask that you go now.
Can you follow me out there?
We're not going to follow you out.
No, can you, please?
Well, you're free to leave. I don't think we can follow you out, no.
I'm just asking you out there to talk to me.
I'm sorry?
I'm just asking you, can I talk to you about the camera?
I can't turn the cameras off, no, sir. I'm sorry.
Why not?
Well,
Please,
because I can't once they get turned on.
please, I'm just asking you.
No, I'm telling you, I'm just unfortunately unable to do that.
And so that's Jason Schoeppner, hey? What a long pause it was before the man was ready to leave. One can only imagine what crushing thoughts he was having. It's not often that we see a predator react like this, crumbling inwards so severely, and it's almost a bigger spectacle as the ones who become quite animated. The sheer weight of the moment, I do believe Jason to be considering very carefully, wondering how he can mitigate his losses, reduce the damage to his image. He knows his career is over. His family will think he's awful. What friends he may have are going to turn against him. Silence speaks a lot, and here I would say it's telling us that Jason is fully aware of not only what he did, but how this is going to affect his life moving forward. If I were a betting man, I'd put my money on the possibility that he is quite an introspective sort of guy. That's the interesting thing that I find about this program, and to a much larger degree, offenders of all sorts in the world. They don't come from one walk of life. They don't all have the exact pattern of personality traits and lives that they live. It's an evil that seemingly can crop up in expected subjects along with the unexpected. But does that mean I think he didn't deserve this, or that he's a good guy? Absolutely not. One can't forget about how hot he came in, asking to rub a foot, and the request to moan in a child's ear. This sort of thing doesn't just crop up overnight. This is years of training the sexual side of his mind, honing down what he enjoys, and then trying to find targets for his pleasure. On top of this disturbing reality, another aspect of this man which concerns me is the fact that he could be an incredibly manipulative person. He proved right off the bat that he has no issue with lying, and as I've seen far too often with people that I've even known in real life, when confronted with poor behavior, he adopted a demeanor of being the victim, whether conscious of it or not. It's downright troubling. This is the danger of these vulnerable, covert manipulators. The better they are at their deceit, the more you will understand their plight. How easy would it be to say, "Oh, poor silly little Jason. His life isn't going too well. He already finds it difficult enough to connect with women due to his love of feet and desire to moan like a banshee in their ear. Cut him some slack. He's ruined his life here, his career, likely many friendships, and severed trust that others may have in him. Feel sorry for this man. You know how it can be for these people whom one might consider a loser. This thought right here is dangerous, because it can allow an individual to get a free pass where others may not. It's always much easier to hate an abrasive hothead than it is a dying rodent. I don't know if that's who Jason is or not, but it could be, and that is enough cause for me to raise an eyebrow when thinking about who the man is in his everyday life. After the sting, Jason served 30 days in jail and then 2 years of community control with 40 hours of community service. He also registered as a sex offender for 10 years and was taken off the register in 2016. Since then, I've been unable to find any more trouble that he's gotten into. There's talk online that he's possibly gotten married, and that's about all I could dig up. So with that, I truly do hope that he managed to turn his life around and has continued to stay out of trouble. I'd like to point you in the direction of my Patreon. If you don't already know about it, I have a bunch of unreleased Predator commentaries over there, and if you do choose to sign up, I really want to say thank you, and it's pretty much what keeps me going creating videos these days. Furthermore, I do have a public Discord server, so if that's something you use and want to jump in, I'll have a link in the description of this video for it.